Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. I'm Nikki Maduro. She is the fabulous Kim McAllister. Please hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up as we have a lot to talk about. As we're still digesting all of the news coming out of the RNC and, of course, Donald Trump choosing JD Vance and not a woman as his vice presidential pick. I was kind of looking for, and I know I shouldn't just, I'm not saying that Donald Trump needed to choose a woman and this kind of tokenism and the DEI and whatever all these like right wingers love to say. I just like the idea of having a female perspective since we are, I don't know, 50% of the effing population over here. But I did also like the idea of seeing a debate between two women, right? Like I wanted to just hear the debate. Like I just wanted to see it, damn it. You know what I mean? We're this friggin' close.
On the other hand, Kamala Harris is already calling for JD Vance to meet her in a debate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I would love to see Kamala Harris tear him a new one because you know she will.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, she was a prosecutor and a really good one. And if you've seen her at Senate hearings, she comes with facts and she comes prepared. And so you might not like her as like you wouldn't want to sit down and have a beer with her, but I sure wouldn't want to tangle with her on a debate or on a Senate hearing or anywhere else like that because she's going to get you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that honestly, I think that Kamala Harris, you know, and I've never seen, again, I'm not from Ohio. I'm not a JD Vance expert. I'm not going to say that I am. I'm not going to act like I am. I think we're going to learn a lot about JD Vance. And I think we're going to learn as much about JD Vance as you want to learn about the vice presidential nominee. I do think it is important, given the age of the presidential candidates, that we should be paying pretty close attention to the vice presidential candidates, right? So again, I think that the debates between Kamala Harris and JD Vance are important. I think where they stand on specific issues are important. And so we'll see how he does. I don't know how he does in debates. I don't know how well spoken he is going to be. We shall see. I know that Kamala Harris is, just like you mentioned, very well spoken. She's also done this before. So, yeah. And again, I think there's still a lot of sexism in this country. So, you know, we'll see how that goes.
It's interesting you mention that because my husband and I were having a conversation at the kitchen table the other day about how people are elected that you want to have a beer with, right? And he was talking about George W. Bush and Clinton and how like they're bubbas and how you feel comfortable with them. You'd want to just walk up and talk to them.
Right.
And how different it is to find a woman that has those characteristics. And my first thought was, I'd love to have a glass of wine with Kamala. Absolutely.
Right.
But he's like, no, you know, you need to have someone who's approachable that you want to like sit down in a bar with. So we're trying to think of women who fit that bill. And the only one I could think of was Dolly Parton. Because she's kind of down home. You might want to go have a drink with her in the bar. I don't know. But maybe because women are just built differently. Like, and maybe that's why we're judged in a different way politically, because they're looking at, is she a nice lady? Is she a lady? You know, does she wear the nice clothes? Does she have the nice look? Does she have
we're not giving the opportunity to be seen in that light as much either. Like, you know, it's like, well, I don't see her being a leader or a presidential leader. Well, damn it, we've never been given the opportunity to, right?
No.
And I know this is not the same thing. And so I know this is going to sound a little bit funny. But I've seen many interviews over the years, specifically with actors like Morgan Freeman, who before President Barack Obama was elected president and then afterwards were asked, and it seemed like a silly question, but were asked, do you think that by playing a black president on the movie screen, that it helped people get used to the idea of a black president? And, you know, and there were many opinions on whether or not that was the case. But again, when people can see it, we say that all the time, right? About, you know, even showing children diverse jobs. If you see a woman astronaut, right? If you see it, then you believe that you can be it. And so it's the same thing for voters. If you never see a woman president, why would you think a woman can be president? Why would you think that a woman could handle the job if you don't ever see it being portrayed?
Part of what the standard we hold women to, we being just society, is we have to be deferential to men. We have to make them feel good enough about themselves so that then we can go back in and do some things to succeed. And if then go back in and say, oh, it was nothing. right?
Yeah. Oh,
Like make
always.
our accomplishments look minimize them in
Hmm.
order to make a man feel more important. That's common.
Exactly.
I'm not making it up.
Exactly.
It's common,
No,
right?
all the time.
And so if a woman doesn't do that, if a woman isn't deferential to men, then she's called the B word.
Yes.
And that's why you have people like Hillary and
Hmm.
like Kamala who are called the B word. And it's not because they don't know what they're doing. And it's not because they're not capable. It's just because they're kind of, take no prisoners, go in and get it done kind of people. So I don't know.
Well, Kim, we were talking this week also about the fact that, we were talking about how half this country doesn't see politics and where the country should go in the same way that we do. And the truth of the matter is, Kim, we do kind of live in this West Coast liberal bubble
Mm-hmm.
where, and I will also say this, also in a bubble in which we do believe that women can be leaders, women can be head of households, women can be equal, if not, even stronger than men in
Yep.
business and in other aspects of life. There are many women who have no desire, and also I will even go as far as to say, don't even believe it's appropriate for the woman to be the leader of the household, of the business, right? That the man is the leader of the household,
Yeah.
that the woman should defer to the man. And I will also say this, and this hurts me to say, if that's the way you want to live your life, sure. What I will disagree with women on, though, is when your vote makes it so all of us have to live that way.
Right.
You want to live your life in the privacy of your own home. You want to defer to your husband. You want to make it so you have to get his permission to do all sorts of things. You know what we just hit 50 years of? The 50th anniversary of a woman needing her husband's permission or no longer needing her husband's permission to have a credit card. Okay,
Is that
50
ridiculous?
freaking years ago. That's
50
not
years. That's
that long
nothing.
ago.
That's nothing.
That's only 5 years older than me. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's in our lifetime. It's not that
Yep.
long ago that I would have needed my husband's permission to get a credit card. And there's probably
Mm-hmm.
men saying, and look at all the trouble that caused.
There's a lot of women watching right now that are like, hey, that was me.
Right.
I couldn't buy a house by myself. I couldn't have a credit card by myself.
Right.
Absolutely.
And look
Yeah.
at the control
No.
that has over women's autonomy. Like JD Vance there was a quote. I think I might still have it. Hold on. There was a quote that JD Vance gave where he was like, women stayed, tried to leave violent marriages and it might have been good for them, but it was terrible for the children. Like,
What?
this is who we're talking about
No.
here.
Mm-mm.
There are also women and men who believe, like there's many conservatives right now that want to get rid of no-fault divorces. They want to make it harder for women to leave marriages. Why would men want to make it harder for a woman to leave marriage? Right?
Because
It's
they don't
to
want to pay
control
alimony
her.
and get taken to the cleaners when they're
It's
cheating bastards.
it's all to
Yeah.
control women. And there are some women that have no problem with it, but if that's okay with you, fine. But it's not okay with me. And I don't want it. I don't want it to be the law of the land. That's my problem with it. That's my problem with the fact of abortion. You don't want to have an abortion? Don't have one. But you don't get to dictate the lives of every woman out there. You don't know everybody's, situation. You don't know it. And that's, I think, the hardest bridge that we have to get over. Because also, Kim, you have to also throw in not just territory or kind of geography, I should say, where people live in this country, right? We live on the coast, typically liberal, right? Although California is huge. You start going into the Central Valley and stuff, you get really conservative and down south. But you go into middle America, it's, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. It's also really hypocritical as well. But again, it's this really, I believe in God, very conservative, and women know their role and men know their role. And it's very much men rule the roost.
Well,
and it's hard to get through to them about that.
I feel like you're talking about credit cards and controlling women economically.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is controversial to say, so feel free to kick me off the show after it comes out of my face. But I feel like a lot of people who are anti-abortion or want to control women's reproductive rights may not necessarily care about really the unborn. I think it's a way, controlling a woman's reproductive rights as a way to control women in an economic way. It's a
because they
way to
don't want her
keep
to go
women
to the
down
workforce. Yeah.
economically. And so, we know just by studies that have been done, the evidence tells us that when a woman doesn't have control of her reproductive organs, she has children earlier. That affects her ability to be educated. It affects her ability to have a job. It affects her ability to live on her own, and have that life by herself, to have her own money, to make her own way and her own decisions about her future. So all of this goes to the same thing that you're talking about, which is controlling women
Mm-hmm.
economically. And I'll throw reproductive rights right in that same basket.
Well, and then also, I mean, think about what we've also seen at the same time. This rise in recent years of incels, right?
Hmm.
Involuntarily celibate men,
Right.
men who can't seem to find a woman that wants them for whatever way that they are. And what a growing theme, or a common theme, I should say, among these men is, oh, these women, they're these feminazi women that have their own job, their own house, their own money. They don't need you, right? They don't need these men. So the men need to bring something more than just the job, the money, the house, because a woman can get there on their own. So what do you have to have? You
Well,
have to bring something more.
you and I could get there on our own,
Yes,
but we love our partners.
because they treat us right. And so,
Yeah.
God forbid, guy, you should be a good guy and not mess around on us and all these sorts of things.
Hmm.
And there are some guys, not all guys, but there's some guys that are like, well, I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have
Well,
to
then
be
don't get
interested in what
married and
you
don't.
want to do. I don't
Right.
want to have to show interest in you and have to treat you right or pamper you or give you a little bit more than the bare
Mm-mm.
effing minimum and just go to work and provide a roof over your head. Why should I have to do more than just the bare effing minimum? Because that's all maybe my dad did and his dad did. He went to work, he came home, he expected food on the table. And that's all I want. I don't want to have to listen to your head trips. I don't want to have to help babysit my own children. I don't want to have you go off with your girlfriends for a weekend and have Sunday brunches. You should just stay at home, take care of the house. I mean, I'm being stereotypical
Hmm.
here, but I mean, this is how some men may think. And so if they encounter these women who are just online hearing from these power women who make their own money and make their own way, and they're like, you could just get a job, get a credit card, get a house, and then a man's going to have to come to you with, what else can you bring me besides economics? You got to fulfill me intellectually, emotionally, right? That's some men can't bring that to the table. And so then they're left alone and angry, and then they blame us. They blame women for that. And it's sad. And it really, really is sad. And I don't want to go back to that. And I think and I feel for, if a guy's lonely, he's like, God, I can't find a woman, but don't blame the women, like, don't blame the woman. You are not, again, entitled to have a woman in your life. I'm sorry if you can't find someone to love you. Get a hobby, get a dog, look around, lower your standards. I have no effing idea, but there is no God-given right for anybody to have a partner. Everybody wants one, but it doesn't mean you're always going to have one. And it's really a tough nut to crack. And I feel bad, but
It
sorry.
shocks me, though, what women are willing to accept even in this day and age.
Yep.
And you talk about, what we demand for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the I don't know, the bar, how low the bar can go. Women are in these religious organizations where still you don't have a woman priest or a woman
Nope.
preacher or one. And so you were just mentioning a few moments ago about, when a woman sees herself as president or astronaut or all these things, that it kind of makes that a reality, like a possibility
Exactly.
that you could actually do this in real life. And now, there's a story recently looking at why women stay in these religions where they're pushed down.
Exactly. I mean, CNN had that exact article, and there was like three reasons they give. One of the reasons was they believe actually in the theology, this kind of separate but equal. I remember growing up in the Catholic Church when girls finally were able to become altar boys or altar girls, right?
Hmm.
Like when I first became Catholic, girls were not allowed to, right? Women are still not allowed to be priests, right? So the one reason, obviously, is they believe in that. This one women's study professor at Southern Baptist Theological Seminary says, we do not get to dictate what manhood and womanhood are all about. Our Creator does. So there is this like kind of fundamental belief. And I will say this, that's the one I respect kind of the most. If that is your belief system, I respect it. Fine. But you don't get to vote. You don't get to make laws on that. If you want to believe that and that's how you want to live your life, fine.
Well,
that's your belief.
Even if the Creator says whether you're a man or a woman, if you subscribe to that, who decides who's in charge in the church? Because it's not the Creator. It's the people who are in charge of the religion.
Well, if you believe in a certain religion and you believe that, like, for instance, in the Catholic Church, the Bible is written, and you believe in certain parts of the Bible that said that women can't be in it because, again, the Bible can be very contradictory, to say the least, then they will point to certain things and say that. Okay, so that's why. But again, that is what you personally believe. When it starts to be everyone needs to live their life that way, that's when I have a problem with it. Another reason is leaving the church that you're talking about that has these rules can be traumatic for people. I mean, can you imagine your whole entire family, especially in these small towns that I'm talking about, Kim?
And community. That's your community.
That's your community. How many times do we hear about these small towns? They're built around their church. Right. Now all of a sudden you're going to walk away from that? I mean, how many times do you hear this story? And it's become stereotypical now. Somebody within the LGBTQ community grows up in this like nowhere town in middle America. They have to leave because if they don't, they're going to be shunned anyway, right? Like it's traumatic. And if a woman does it, I mean, she's not going to be supported if she's going to leave her husband or do anything like that. And then because we were just talking about with the credit cards, if you don't have any money, if there's no financial support system for you, you can't leave. How are you going to do it? The financial costs of leaving organizations, religious organizations, is too high for many of these women to be able to do it. And so it totally makes sense why they're stuck in that kind of situation.
It's sad to me.
It is.
Because then you lose your financial support, you lose your emotional support,
and you lose your community.
Have nothing left. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so that's why, again, I mean, I understand what religion does for people in a positive way. And again, if it brings you joy in your own personal life, that's fine. But I never understand religions that promote the separation of other people from you. You know what I mean? Like, and that again, and I've said it time and time again, the minute my religion told me that my neighbor was going to hell and to shun them for just loving other people, I decided it wasn't the right thing for me and I couldn't actively practice it. Now, I do believe in God and I do pray regularly. I just do not subscribe to those rules and I feel no shame in it. No. Zero shame whatsoever. And I love being called a bad Catholic. I actually wear it like a badge of honor. I go, yes, I am not a good Catholic. I'm not at all. And I'm not a good Catholic in the way that makes me proud, in a very, very good way. So I have no shame from it, like at all, because I know that I'm a good person and it makes me happy to say that I'm a bad Catholic in the ways that makes me happy. So, and I'm fine with that.
Would it make you feel uneasy if I told you that my kids are not baptized?
No, not at all.
No,
I don't. Again, that's another thing that I don't truly subscribe to. I mean, I like the fact that my kids are baptized because of the ritual involved in it. Because if you don't know, if there's any non-Catholics out there, Catholics believe if people are unbaptized, they're automatically going to hell. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that whole automatically going to hell thing.
Sure.
Again, I'm again a very bad Catholic.
I'll tell you, my mother-in-law was not pleased.
I'm a very bad Catholic. I believe that God believes in the good in all people, and I don't believe in this whole like thing. But yes, I do like the fact that my kids are not only baptized. They've had their first communion, and I would love for them to do their confirmation. I like ritual. I've done it all. I'm a full blown Catholic. I just don't like what I consider man-made rules that separate us from each other. I think it's total BS.
So does that mean you take them to church on Sundays?
No, but
You
they
guys
have
go
gone to church. I
Okay.
no, I don't go to church. I've done it. I've heard it.
I thought, don't
That's
you
what I
have
say all
do,
the time.
do you have to go to church every Sunday in order to do the first communion thing?
No, you have to go through the classes and everything. So for
Oh,
me, because I went to Catholic school, I didn't have to, but
mm-hmm.
my kids had to go to all the classes to get their
Right,
first
right.
communion and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, to continue getting communion, you're supposed to go to confession all the time, which again makes me a bad Catholic. But I
Do
don't.
you do you worry that in the teachings, when they're
Mhm,
teaching kids about first communion and they're teaching kids about all these steps along the way,
mhm,
that ingrained in that learning
mhm.
is the pushing down of women?
I mean, I don't believe that the I guess quick, shortened, abbreviated lessons that my kids learned.
Hmm.
No. And for someone that went to Catholic school for 12 years and I am the way that I am,
Yeah, it's
not
true.
enough. Not enough.
It wasn't enough for you.
Not enough. So yeah, I mean, I think it is. And again, I went side by side with a lot of other young women that are now grown
Hmm.
women who think completely opposite than me, Kim. So
Yeah,
it's all, I think, what you take in and what you put out and who you're raised by.
yeah.
And it is what it is. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I am definitely raising a mini me. So I'm really not too worried about it. But and
Hmm.
I'm going to continue to have the conversation. I will tell you this: if one of my kids grew up to be a staunch conservative, I probably would feel like my father feels. Like God, where did I
Where
go
did I go
wrong?
wrong? What have I done?
Probably. I'm sure my dad loves me to death. He would lay his
Hmm.
life down for me. But I am positive my dad looks at me like, oh my God, where did I go wrong?
Yep.
And I like, you should be proud of me. But that's politics for you. You know
Was
what I
talking
mean?
to my
So
dad the other day on his birthday, and was I mentioned the age of the president and the age of the Republican nominee, Trump and
uh-huh.
Biden, and he just kind of said, "Yeah, yeah." It was very clear he didn't want to talk politics.
Oh,
And usually my dad and
really?
I have these great discussions, but I
Oh
think he's pulling
no.
back a little bit. I don't think he wants to have those discussions
Do you guys
anymore.
disagree on politics?
Um, Usually we find common ground somewhere,
Oh, but
but
but you don't
he'll
vote the same.
I don't think we vote the same. He's
Okay.
never told
Okay.
me that he votes for Trump. He's never told me that. But I know that he's more conservative. I know
Yeah, then he votes
doesn't
for
like Trump,
Trump. Oh
but it might be the only
no.
one, the only option for him. So I don't
No,
know.
it's not. It's just
I know, I
it's
know.
always just like a cop out for me. But yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, again, it's yeah, it's so
Yeah.
hard. I can't wait. I really wish for the day that we just get back to not politics not being like sports. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I wish it was more like sports, like it was more of a fun like competition versus life and death sometimes it seems like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's become so much like that, so rabid and so the vitriol between Democrats and Republicans it's so heightened. Like, look what happened on Saturday. It's
Yep.
insane. And
Yeah.
we really do need to bring the temperature down. But it seems like everything is so all of our rights and everything is so on the line, it feels like, and we can't seem to find common ground on basic facts, and
Hmm.
there's no compromise, it seems like, and certain things just shouldn't be decided by courts and all these sorts of things. And I just don't know. I really don't know anymore, Kim. I really have no idea how we return to some normalcy, because it's exhausting. I will
Yeah.
say it's absolutely freaking exhausting, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But
Mm.
I don't know. All right. Well, that's our show. I really appreciate everyone being here. So Donald Trump is talking when? Talking on Thursday.
Thursday.
He's
Hmm.
going to address the Republican National Convention. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to totally put you on the spot. Do we know when the Democratic National Convention is?
Oh, let me look it up while you're talking.
Okay. So President Biden, obviously, there's no real big surprises with President Biden, unless, of course, the big surprise would be if Biden drops out of the race. Now,
So the
I don't
Democratic
think
National Convention is going to be held. Oh no, hold on. Oh, go ahead. Keep talking.
Okay. So but I don't think that Joe Biden is going to drop out of the race. I really think that all of this talk is ridiculous. But geez Louise, if he actually got his ear pulled hard enough by Democrats, I would think the smartest thing to do would, of course, be passing it over to Kamala Harris. Let Kamala Harris make a strategic, not like Donald Trump, which I don't think made a good choice, but a strategic vice presidential pick that would check electoral college boxes, please. And we would move on from there. That would be the only thing that would make the Democratic National Convention interesting in any way, shape, or form.
Did you just make an ear joke? Got his ear pulled? Get it?
That's funny.
Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois, August 19th through the 22nd.
Oh, wow. It's a month from now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah, we got some time. Wow. That's a long time from now.
Yeah.
A lot could happen. Mm-hmm. Now I'm kind of concerned. A lot could happen between now and then. I just don't think he's going to drop out, Kim. I really, really don't. I don't think he's going to do it. And it doesn't matter anyway, because it's going to be Joe Biden or it's going to be Kamala Harris and hopefully a very smart pick. But either way, we do need to bring down the tenor. It's going to be interesting to hear what Donald Trump has to say on Thursday. I think that if he's smart, which he's not, he won't make it incendiary, but he will likely do it. Although I will say this, Joe Biden is smart too, to continue to hammer home the fact that Donald Trump does want to do crazy ass things. Mm-hmm. He wants to deport a ton of people from the United States. That would be insane to do. He does want to roll back all the advances we made on climate change. He is going to double down on taking away reproductive freedoms. He's going to do all of these things. The crap in Project 2025 is real. He is connected to that. So,
and don't forget about NATO.
Exactly. And then NATO. It's all of these things are real. And so stay engaged as always. And we're going to be here right along for the crazy ass ride. All right. Click that thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. And if you guys can, please help us keep this show on the air by supporting us either through the super chat. Look for the $ under the chat box or through our Patreon. It's real simple. Go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. thenikkimadoroshow.com. The Patreon link is right there. You can also use PayPal and then just go to paypal.com. There's a send button, hit the send button, and then put in the email address, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. Any amount is excellent, and we appreciate every single dollar. And then, of course, our delicious way of supporting the show is with our sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavor Sauces, a guava barbecue sauce, plus 2 hot sauces, a hibiscus and a pineapple hot sauce. And make sure you remember the coupon code NICKKIM, NIKKIM, to get 10% off every single time you order. And thank you to Auntie Tabby's Island Flavor for all the support. All right. We'll talk again tomorrow. Take care, guys. Bye. Mwah.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.